Halifax has a cat problem. And I'm not kidding around. It's an issue that many cities are facing right meow. And it's quite difficult to find that perfect solution.
Stop. Just stop.
All right, I'll pause the cat puns for now. Let's roll the credits.
Here I am roaming out on the street.
There's a lot of stray cats in this city. A staff report from 2007 estimated that there were between 40,000 and 94,000 stray cats in the HRM. And if you call up the city pound, you get this message on their answering machine.
Please be aware, however, that with an estimated 150 to 250,000 stray cats in HRM, the resources available to help are greatly outweighed by the size of the pet overpopulation problem.
That's a stray cat for every 1.6 people in the HRM. It's a hairy problem, and Halifax isn't alone. Cities all over the world are dealing with stray cats. They can be noisy and spread diseases to pets. In Hawaii, there are even reports of zombie feral cats. Yeah, that's terrifying. However, the main issue with feral cats is that they're an invasive species, unless you live in the Middle East. If left unattended, they reproduce wildly and wreak havoc on local wildlife. A study estimated that stray and domestic cats were killing up to 3.7 billion birds and 20.7 billion mammals in the United States alone every year.
Who's my little serial killer? Oh, you are. Oh, you are. And in Halifax, that has led some to describe the feral cat population as a crisis. We actually had a cat run for mayor on a platform calling for more action on the stray cat issue.
Rest in peace, Tuxedo Stan. As a result, the city is using an approach popular in many cities, a TNR program, which stands for Trap, Neuter, and Release. Stray cats are humanely trapped, vaccinated, and sterilized by veterinarians. The idea is that this program will lower the stray cat population by breaking their reproduction cycle. If they can't make babies, there won't be any more.
And like all government-sponsored programs, there's a price tag. Last year, the city ran a pilot project for $50,000, and just last week, the Regional Council voted to continue funding that program for another $50,000 a year for the next 5 years. That money will go towards the SPCA and the Spay Day HRM group to trap, neuter, and release 1,000 cats every year.
We were actually at the council meeting discussing this issue, and as usual, David Hensby had some constructive criticism.
As this stands now, this is just the wish of council to provide money to the SPCA and Spay Day HRM. Everybody has to line up behind the SPCA and join hands and become a part of the Kumbaya circle there. I'm sorry, but
then Richard Zurowski said something that I thought was really relevant.
We shouldn't be looking at it year by year for funding. We should be making it as part of something that the city does to limit the number of feral animals that we have out there and make this a permanent part of what HRM does.
So we'll be running this program forever then? We did a bit more research on TNR, and it turns out programs like these aren't actually solving the issue of stray cats. They're kind of just containing them.
In theory, sterilizing all the stray cats in HRM would mean they'd die out eventually, but in reality, it probably won't work that way. First off, you'd have to sterilize every single one of those 40,000 to 250,000 stray cats. And even if you did sterilize every single stray cat right now, that still wouldn't stop people from abandoning their cats and introducing new stray cats in the future. It's also fair to note that TNR doesn't address the main issue with stray cats, which is that they're extremely predatory to local wildlife. Simply releasing them back into the city is not fixing any of that, and that has led some to propose other measures. A vet in Fort Lauderdale, Florida gives a very different opinion on TNR. Clearly, given the stated facts, feral cats must be completely removed from their environment, and by that I mean active extermination. I have considered all other possible solutions from the perspective of both a veterinarian and a conservationist, and they are either impractical or impossible.
That's messed up, but I have to admit, he has a point. We have a lot of invasive species in Nova Scotia, and our usual tactic is to exterminate. But I don't think we could ever propose a solution like that for our stray cat problem. I mean, we love cats. I love cats. So this isn't just an invasive species issue. It's a moral and ethical issue.
I want to make myself absolutely clear. PLANifax is not advocating for the extermination of stray cats. And while the overall results have been mixed, there are examples where TNR programs were very effective at controlling stray cat populations. That being said, I think there's a lot more we can be doing to proactively address this issue. Other cities and towns are replacing their old animal control bylaws with responsible pet ownership rules. A common feature in these new bylaws is the requirement that owners get a license for their cats and ensure that they don't roam. At least 10 cities in Canada have already introduced this kind of license. In Halifax, while we do require a license for owning dogs, we don't have this kind of license for cats.
But we don't need rules to start addressing this issue. If you own a cat in Halifax, here are just a few simple things you can do to help.
Spay or neuter your cat. Keep your cat indoors if you can, and if you must send your cat outdoors, only do so during the day, as a cat's hunting instinct is strongest at night. You can also bring down Fluffy's murder stats by attaching a bell or using a sonic collar. Fancy. And if you can't care for your cat anymore, don't just abandon it outside. Take it to a shelter.
At the end of the day, this isn't a cat problem. It's kind of a human problem. So before we start blaming poor Oliver over here, I hope we can remember that.
Wish I could save you. Seems like it shouldn't